What if the secret to email marketing isn't clever subject lines or fancy AI prompts? What if it's actually knowing who the heck is on your list? Most businesses treat their subscribers like a number on a dashboard. 8,000 subscribers, 50,000 subscribers. Great. But here's the problem. They have no idea who those people actually are. No idea what they want, where they came from, or why they keep ignoring your emails. In this episode of Data Beats Opinion, we're talking with Chris Orzechowski, one of the most sought after email marketers around. He maps out his advanced email segmentation strategies. We're going to walk through how to automate the majority of your revenue without losing that human touch. And we're going to break down what's coming next for email. If sending emails is part of your business, you got to check this out. Let's start the show. Chris, so good to have you. I've been looking forward to this talk. I'm excited.
Yeah, me too, Keith. Thanks for having me. I'm excited. SegMetrics user, love the product, love the company. I'm just like, I feel like I'm at a point where I'm just so nerding out over all the data and everything that goes into it. Because here's what's happened to me, right? Quick little backstory.
Let's do it.
I started off as a freelancer. I started an email list. I started mailing my email daily, which has been a phenomenal growth flywheel. So many different ways. As I got deeper and deeper into, list growth, having products, a product ecosystem, I have 17 different products. I'm running ads on multiple platforms, organic on different platforms. It's just gotten more complex. And you get to a point where there's so many different ways that you could take the future of the company, right? And every decision becomes way more important and the data becomes way more important, understanding who you're talking to. I've gotten to the point sometimes in my list where I'm like, I've sent an email about every single topic I know. What do people want? What do people care about? Who's buying? Who should I be marketing to? So I've just personally been on this journey over a while where I kind of started off as a very basic email marketer, and basic definitely works, right? Where you're sending an email every day, but the next level up is what if you have multiple sequences going to different people and you're sending an email every day and you have 8 different sequences running, right? That's when stuff started really getting crazy for me. And so yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to dive in and just get into all this.
I have this whole list of things I want to talk about, and you just picked on something that is really core to my thought on email marketing, which is, and you have the daily email, which is a lot more than a lot of people send. People mainly send weekly or maybe twice a week at most. Daily is a commitment. It's a huge commitment. I do want to dig into that in a second. But one thing you mentioned there is you have other automation sequences running. And you have to, when you're running those automation sequences, make sure that A, they're not stacking on top of each other. So I'm not getting an offer for product A and product B at the same time, but also that my daily email is not annoying people because they're also getting these 6 other emails in a nurtured sequence. I guess annoying isn't the right word, but you want to keep that sequence pure because you have a narrative that you're trying to explain and to bring about to the reader. And then if you have your daily emails talking about something else, you've suddenly built off a branch. So how do you even think about that? What do you do there?
So there's a few different ways that I approach this. And one of the factors that goes into it is your overarching promo calendar. Sending an email a day, yeah, it does sound like a lot. And I guess maybe for some people it is, but for me now, after doing this, I've been sending an email every single day since I think January of 2017. I started my list in 2016. I remember I got up to 55 subscribers, then I got to 100. And then I think I got around to 200 and change, and I started doing daily. And so I've just been, for me now, it's part of my DNA. It's I almost kind of get the shakes if I don't get to the keyboard soon enough, because I'm I got to get this email out of me. It's, it's welling up inside. It's going to I need to type, But the thing is A, that's the most important thing that I do for a number of reasons, because what everyone does is they start their day on the defensive. They start their day reacting, and I start my day on offense, right? So I wake up and I make money appear, and that's the first thing that I do. And, there's a lot of ways to do this. You could have ads that are doing that, and that's fine. You could have automations that are doing that, and that's fine. And some people, they focus all the time on ads and everything is automated. And there's a lot of different ways that this kind of splices out. But for me, it just sets the tone for a day. I'm I wake up, I make money appear. I call it paying yourself first, right? That's the first thing that happens. So even if everything else the rest of the day is terrible. Maybe like, I get a charge back, and then I get, I owe money to the state of New Jersey for some stupid tax thing. And like all these things happen. It's like, at least I made money appear, and at least I did something positive, right? Not only does that happen, but now I have a messaging asset. So a lot of days, what I'll do is I'll just take whatever I wrote as my email and I'll post it on social media. I'll post on Twitter, I'll post on LinkedIn, Facebook, whatever. And everyone's like, I don't have time to create content. I'm like, yes, you do. You write an email, you repost it. Like, if what you're talking about is important, everyone's going to like it. So you have your overarching promo calendar, right? And you probably have, maybe you're doing some launches, maybe you have some evergreen products, or maybe you just have one product, or you have one product with 3 levels, do it yourself, done with you, done for you, different levels. And there's kind of like times when you're promoting those things harder and times when you're, not promoting them as much. And then you have all this like filler space in between. So the way I look at this is that I know I have like set, like I do this, I have a program called Write Yourself Rich. It's about daily email, obviously, right? We do a big launch in October with affiliates and everything. That's like set. That's set a year in advance. I know we're always going to do that. And then I have, okay, in September, I launched a new product. Maybe I'll do one in February. So some of those things go on the calendar. But in between those big promos where I want to direct everyone's attention to it, because either it's a new thing or it's a big thing that is applicable to everyone on the list, I'm like, okay, well, now there's an opportunity to kind of segment, put people down. It's almost like when you would read those choose your own adventure books when you were a kid, right? It's like, it's like you're in the castle. It's like, if you're going to pick up the sword and fight the monster, you go to page 17. And if you're going to run away to safety, you're going to go to page 43, right? Like, I give everyone opportunities to choose their own adventure in terms of how they're going to interact. Now, a lot of the stuff in the past, I would do it manually, and I've gotten smarter about that, and I'll talk about that in a second. But a lot of times, the simplest way to do this is just you have a trigger link for your product page. So like I have a course called Double Your Deliverability. And I mean, then it's kind of self-explanatory, helps you increase your deliverability, get in the primary inbox. I know not everyone's interested in that, or maybe they're interested in it, but like it's not a right now problem. And that's fine, because it's kind of like, you have an orchard. Not every piece of fruit is going to ripen at the same time, right? And that's always the analogy that I use. Some are going to ripen a week later, a month later, whatever the case might be. I know if you click that link today, you're probably at least a little bit curious, right? And if you're at least a little bit curious enough to click the link and be like, what is this? Or, oh, I think I need this. What that tells me is that you are in market. So if you're in market, I'm going to put you into a sequence. That's the double your deliverability sequence. And what I did, everyone's like, oh, well, this sounds like a lot of work. I got to write a new sequence and I got to write the daily email. No, all I did was I looked back, and I had a team member help me with this. We looked back through 3,000 emails that I'd sent over the last 7 years. And I said, we're going to break them down by product type. These are all the emails we sent for double your deliverability. These are all the emails we sent for the Scale While You Sleep book. These were all the emails we sent for across like 17 different products. And what I did was I said, we're going to take the greatest hits and put them into a sequence. Because if it worked well as a broadcast and it's evergreen, like if someone joins today in December of 2025, right, they weren't around for the email in April of 2022.
Right.
Does that mean that email is bad? Of course it's not a bad email. If it worked then and it's evergreen, then why wouldn't it work? So what you do is you just take the best emails, you put them into a sequence that goes out daily, and then you just follow up with people till they buy. And crazy thing happens. People buy. They don't need a deadline. They don't need a discount because you're putting something that, hey, you're clearly interested in.
They already said they wanted.
They said they're interested. They clicked on it, right? So we just follow up. And what you could do is if you're just kind of just picking any products from a catalog and just promoting them intermittently, whatever, you just scrub them out from the main daily sequence. They go through that sequence. And then I have my segment set up where as soon as they go through that sequence, if they buy, they get pulled out, obviously. If they don't buy, that's fine. They're at least educated. They at least got, 12 emails in that sequence to where they learned more about the product. They saw some testimonials. They learned how it worked. They learned about their problem, about the solution. So they're more likely to, in the future, buy if I ever run a sale or if I ever promote it again.
So quick question, and I'm assuming the answer, but are your automated sequences also daily emails?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So this is the core of it to me, which is it's seamless to the user, right? Because they only know I am getting a daily email. And all you've done is, and I say all you've done, what you've done is you have moved them from the base generic, hey, this is what's happening today daily emails to a curated list of still daily emails. So as far as the user is concerned, you just happen to be talking about the very thing that they're interested in. And they have no clue that they are not getting the standard automated emails, or the standard daily emails. They're getting a curated list.
Yeah, and that's why it works so well, because it's relevant. It's relevant. It's timely, right? Because I mean, especially in the context of deliverability, like if you wake up tomorrow and your email open rate dropped from 40% to 12%, which happened to me one time, you're like, oh crap, I gotta do something right now. So like, you're in market. It's not like, hey, I'll send you an email today, and then like maybe 2 weeks from now I'll send you another one. It's like, no. Like I need this now. Like, and maybe, something got in the way. I, had a thing with a team member or whatever, and like you forgot about it and then you got interrupted. A lot of this was instructed by all the work that I've done in the e-commerce world, because browse abandonment, cart abandonment, like those are huge issues. Like there's trillions of dollars, I think the figure is, worth of like, or maybe hundreds of billions of dollars worth of like abandoned carts every year. Just people who are like, oh, I want this, and they just don't check out. Like there's so much money there. And like one of the things we did at my old agency was, those are some of the sequences we would build. We would just do this, and we would follow up every day. And I'd look under the hood of some of these people's accounts, and they're like, yeah, we have one email that goes out, 2 days later, and the next one goes out 3 days later. I'm like, they said they want to buy it. They put it in the cart.
Yeah, they're 3 days later, they've forgotten. They're just gone at that point.
They've already bought from your competitor by that point. Like, why are you waiting? And people, they say, and you mentioned before, like, oh, I don't want to bother them. I'm like, I understand that as a concern in general. But the thing is, like, these are all based on intent. And I actually call these intent sequences, right? Because you've demonstrated intent that you're interested. So it's not like you're just hitting everyone with these things. Most of your emails are probably good. If you're writing good email copy, you're, telling stories or teaching things, like, then people like that stuff. They signed up for a reason. Dan Kennedy has that saying. I'm sure you've heard it before. He goes, people walk around with their umbilical cord in their hand looking for somewhere to plug it in, right? It's like, why are they on your list in the first place? They're on your list because they've identified that they have a problem, and you are someone who they're hoping, that's saying everyone's secretly hoping, can you please help me? Can you fix it? And people are very timid. They're very timid. They don't want to bother people, but we live in this world now where there's just so much media. Everyone's so plugged in. Like, if you're not following up every day, you're kind of missing, like, people will forget about you.
I think the algorithm with Twitter and stuff has brought this in. Is like, it used to be, yeah, you could tweet once a week or maybe twice a week or something. Now, because there's so much stuff and it's all flowing off of the screen so quickly, like, if you're not tweeting every day or multiple times a day, then you're exactly right. You're not getting picked back up and you're not being seen. And it's the same with the emails. I have billions of emails in my inbox that I would read it during the day, but as soon as I've missed that day, I'm not coming back. Right. And so I really do feel the daily cadence that you have. And I mean, obviously it's the foundation cornerstone of your marketing business. But like, I feel that is a huge benefit for you, because there's never, for us, we email, I think, once or twice a week. But if you're in a sequence, we're going to be mailing probably once every day and around that. And so it's very obvious that you're in something, that you're not in the general conversation. And I think that there's a huge superpower of not knowing that you're in something special, right? To just think this is the normal cadence and, oh, this is interesting. We're just happening to be talking about the thing that we're interested in. Many years ago, I used to do work for Ramit Sethi, and I met a guy in a bar, and we were talking, and he just loved Ramit Sethi, and he says, oh, you work for Ramit? Oh, I didn't, you're doing that sale launch right now, aren't you? And we weren't. But I realized he was in one of the automated sequences. I was like, oh, yeah. We're totally running that right now. But to him, it was 100% live. It was legit. That was the reality that we had projected. And that's the superpower, I feel.
Yeah. And nowadays, like, this is my big thesis, for a working title for what I'm calling this is like email 3.0, right? Like, for, you and me have both been around for a while in this game, right? Like, it used to just be email 1.0, where it was like based on the promo calendar. Everything was based on the promo calendar, right? And then the automations got a little bit smarter. Some of that messaging became more omni-channel. Like in e-commerce, you might see you send an email, then you send a text, then you send a postcard, right? Or you send an email, then they go into a retargeting pool for that promo or whatever. But email 3.0, you look at your social, like if I held up my Instagram feed compared to your Instagram feed or Twitter feeds, they would look different. I mean, there's probably some overlap. We're both in the marketing world. Obviously, there's probably some mutual accounts we follow, whatever. But you're going to have different stuff in your feed than my stuff. Like the whole world is kind of a media landscape is becoming personalized. I mean, connected TV, programmatic TV advertising, right? Like even TV commercials are now becoming, well, we know you like this stuff, so we'll show you more commercials based on what you're likely to buy and what you're interested in. So the whole world is moving that way, but email is kind of like behind in that regard. And there's so many different things that you could do from a perspective of automation and personalization, segmentation, that I think over the next really 12 months to 24 months, we're going to see a lot of companies start getting things more segmented, personalized, automated, and people are going to be going down more of these journeys because you kind of have to. Because, I look back and a lot of these like older like internet marketing people that I've followed, that like email just wasn't what it used to be back in 2008 or whatever. Well, of course, that was almost 20 years ago. Like obviously the landscape has changed a bit, but they used to say it was just like shooting fish in a barrel, and you could still make a lot of money with email. But I had one guy. He's a customer of mine, really good dude. He owns an e-commerce business. And he was like, hey man, I love your stuff. When you talk about email and e-commerce, whenever you talk about digital products, I just tune out. And he wasn't like, being a jerk about it. He was just like, hey, I'm just letting you know, like, love your stuff, but this stuff I just don't pay attention to. And I was like, yeah, and I don't blame you. It's perfectly valid, point that he was making.
Not what you're interested in.
Yeah, it's you're not interested in, and nor should you be. You're not going to sell a digital product to your, e-commerce audience. Like it's totally fine. But it's just like little interactions like that I've had. I was just like, man, like I just need to get smarter. And really every company needs to get smarter, because if you're not hitting people, everyone's like, oh, people aren't opening, they're not paying attention. I'm like, well, there's probably a reason for that. And the reason is it's just not relevant. It's not for them,
I mean, especially in, we'll call it the before times. It's like it was a very small pond, right? And if you want information on how to write copy that sells, there's probably 2 or 3 people out there that you would follow. And it doesn't matter that you're in e-commerce and they're selling digital and they're talking about digital products, because they're the only game in town. And now, though, there's so much competition, and people have been, like you're saying, conditioned to be really niched in. And this kind of ties into something that I wanted to ask, which is, for the daily email, are you doing any segmentation? So you're talking about the person who's like, I just tune out when you do digital product stuff. Have you started segmenting even within that daily email at all? Or how do you do personalization within that?
Well, what's happening was I was spending money on ads. And, we were breaking even, which is what I wanted. And we were, acquiring a break even and then selling people stuff on the back end. But there's always, whenever you're running ads, there's always a large percentage of people who are just never going to, you see, oh, $2 a sub. This is great. But really, you're paying like $8 to $10 a sub, because for every person you get who is engaged or who buys and becomes a customer, which liquidates your ad cost, you have 2 or 3 or 4 people who never open anything, or they're open the first 3 emails and they disengage. So I'm a bit of a psychopath. I actually unsubscribe all those people manually. I could bulk do it, but I don't do that. I go into every one of the profiles and I look and I say, where were they from? What's their URL? What's their name? Can I look them up? Gary Halbert talked about this with the old direct mail files, like pick out some neighborhoods and go drive around the neighborhoods and what kind of cars are in the driveway, right? So I do that digitally with my list. And it hurts when you're spending your own cash and you're seeing these people come in and you're like, I wish I knew what they were looking for that I didn't give them, and who they were, and could I have bucketed them better, right? So that was, over the past few years of just spending, $10,000 a month plus on ads, I was like, you know what, maybe we should find a way to make this more efficient. So a lot of it has been me going through and saying like, well, who are these people? How do I bucket them? For me, identity is really like the big thing. Like I have a lot of, I'd say 58.2%, and I know that because of RightMessage, 58.2% of my people sell marketing services. About 26% of them sell online courses or coaching. I think about 8.3% are e-commerce. I have like 2.3% are SaaS. I think I have under one, maybe like 0.8% of brick and mortar, and then the rest are just categorized as other, just various other types of internet businesses. So I started looking at this and I was like, okay, there's a few things here. Number one is now I could say, okay, well, if you are a freelance copywriter, I'm not going to send you any emails or any campaigns or any sequences or any daily, launch promos for anything about work with my agency, because you're not going to work with my agency. You're not going to hire my agency for your freelance copywriting business, obviously. And if you own an e-commerce brand or a SaaS business, I'm not going to send you stuff about, here's my client acquisition book that teaches you how to get clients without cold email. Like, why would I send you that? Like, there's no point in me sending you that, right? So I started bucketing these people and putting them into different campaigns. And yes, there are days when I will write 2 daily emails or sometimes 3, because I'm like, this one's got to go to, the potential whales. This one's got to go to the copywriters, or it's an affiliate offer for them or whatever. And this one's got to go to everyone else. Or I'll put a section of them into a sequence and say, okay, for the next 20 days, they're in the sequence, and I can focus on everyone who's not in that sequence. So it is a little bit of like blocking and tackling, but that's also where the incremental gains come from, because now everyone's getting the offer that they need, the content that they need, and they start buying. Because what happens is, otherwise, you look at like a 52-week calendar year, right? 1 week I'm talking about this, week 2 I'm talking about this, week 3 I'm talking about this, offer C, week 4 is offer D. If someone is only interested in offer D, they have to sit through those 3 weeks to get to the week that they're interested in. But when you do it this way, when you're a little bit smarter about the segmentation, you have an opportunity to compress the sales cycle. So instead of them waiting 4 weeks, you waiting 4 weeks to make that sale, you can make those sales in week 1 when they're going through the sequence at the right time, because it's relevant for them. And it's super important for, especially when you're spending money. If everything's organic and you're getting free leads, you don't care as much. But when you're paying your own cash, it gets super duper important. And the other thing too, that's really important about the segmentation stuff, is that there's whales and there's minnows, right? I've had people who've come in and they spend tens of thousands of dollars with me. I've had people who come in, they spend $1 with me. I'll offer a book for $1 periodically. And some of those people who spend $1, they never come back. And you don't know like who these, you need to know who these people are, what are the characteristics. And then you need to know who the whales are, because then you could take the whales, you could identify the segment of whales, the big spenders, the people who purchase X amount of times or bought specific products, and say, well, who are these people? What do we know about them? What are the things in common? And can we loop that into our front-end acquisition campaigns? And you need to know also, what is the timeline? What is the time to conversion? And what is the LTV? You're going to laugh at this story. You're going to appreciate this, especially. Years ago, back, I think it was 2020 or 2021, we were doing ad campaigns. We were doing lead magnet campaigns. We had a book funnel and a tripwire funnel that we were running on Facebook. And, the book funnel was like a 0.5 to 0.8x return on the front end. It wasn't great, but it was okay. We kept it running. We lost a little bit of money, but we were getting some clients in the back end. The tripwire funnel was break even. The lead magnet funnel, we were making a little bit of money, not too great. After about 1.5 years of running those ads at around those ranges, I turned the ads off, because I was like, not only we're paying this, we're losing a little bit on the front end. I know we're making some sales, but I'm also paying a consultant to help me and one of my team members. So there's, some labor costs involved there, credit card processing fee. I said, I don't know, I think we're losing money. I actually sat down with a coach, and he had me take a spreadsheet out. And this is the part you're going to laugh at. I took a spreadsheet out. I analyzed about 300 of those buyers who came from those ad campaigns. And we realized that on day 45, those ad campaigns that were slightly negative turned to a 1.15 return. And the thing that really made me want to just light myself on fire, because I was so angry, just punch myself in the face repeatedly. Like, I'm so dumb for doing this. But over 12 months, the lowest performing cohort was a 6.4x return over 18 months. The highest was like a 12x. Yeah. And I said, oh my gosh, I should have borrowed money to pump into those ad campaigns. Yep. But I didn't know this, and I tracked it manually. I had to go subscription date versus purchase date. Long-term tracking is
tough. Yeah. I mean, all the ad platforms, they report on 7 days. You can't go up beyond that because of privacy and because of blah, blah, blah and all this stuff. But you have all that data in your CRM. You have it in Kit. You have it in ClickFunnels. You have it and that's the thing, is that the money you get back from a lead, especially in businesses like ours, which are long-term nurture education businesses, the value is 6 months down the line, 12 months down the line, 18 months down the line. We just had someone sign up today that has been on our list for 5 years. They've been listening to us constantly, and they just signed up for a scale account today, right? It's this long process, because we have to, you were talking about, it's not just overcoming objections, it's being at the right place at the right time. It's like someone has to raise their hand and say, I've been listening to you for 6 months, for 12 months. I am now ready to look at deliverability. And that is the right product for me now. And then you get to have that sales conversation. Now, there is the opposite of that, where some ads never break even, but yeah, you do have to look at this longer date range. We were working with a client back in the agency days, and we had done this huge promotion. We were on Yahoo News Finance. We were getting, I think it was like 1,000 leads a minute or something like that. It was insanity. Like it was pure insanity. And the value of those leads was like a penny and a half.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And we were like, this was worthless. This was horrible. This was miserable. I hated doing this. This was all bad. And then we decided 8 months later, 6 months, 8 months, something like that, to revisit the lead value. And the lead value was $2.30. So it took them a long time to get there, but the lead value was $2.30 for something like 100,000 leads. And so was this valuable? Yes, it was. Was it valuable in any time frame that we would normally be able to track with Google Analytics or anything like that? No, not at all. Right? Like that's the magic. That's the real magic of being able to understand your audience and track it through time.
Yeah. And people don't like, it's hard when you're in the driver's seat too, right? Like when you're looking at things and you're making decisions and you're a founder and you're like, should we be on this platform? Is this one performing? Like, and I've struggled with this. And that's why I say this, because I've had all these problems. Like, I'm like, maybe I should do more on YouTube. Maybe I should do more here. Mm-hmm. And the number one thing that always comes back to is like, do you even know what's performing and how it's performing? Because like, if you don't know, you could have a million ideas, you could be on 20 different, but like, it might not all matter. You know what I mean? Like really the people, everyone's heard the saying like one channel, 1 year, one funnel, one product till you hit $1 million. Right. And like, I remember I heard that years ago. I was like, yeah, but that's not me. And like, well, it should be, like, why don't you just do that? But well, the hard part is because, well, I don't know what channel, right? And that's the first thing you got to decide.
This is the thing that kind of gets me a little bit is that you talk to people who are successful, who have made it, and they're like, yeah, you have one channel and one product and you focus on that. And they kind of leave out the fact that before you find the one channel, you had to try 800 channels. You had to try 30 different products. You had to try a lot of stuff because you don't know. You have no idea when you're starting if this is the one channel and this is the one product. And so I think Lars Lofgren said it best when I was talking to him. He was saying that it's an 80-20, not a single channel, right? So 80% is going to come in this one channel, but you need to play in the other channels because, my God, what if there is a new channel that has outsized results? And you want to be able to be testing that and knowing what's happening there. Because if you're just focusing on this one channel, so SEO, I think is a great example. If you're all in on SEO and the algorithm changes and your SEO tanks, which I've had many friends that have had that happen, and you don't have any other channels, you're kind of screwed, right? Like, and ads are the same way. I've had people who are all in on ads and then ad rates went through, something changed in the ecosystem, ads dropped like a rock, and now they're SOL.
Or what's even worse is when the numbers don't change, but the quality drops off and everything looks like it's fine. Because I've had clients like that before where they're like, yeah, we're still getting the same amount of leads, still paying the same amount. But, then they're getting on phone calls with these people and they're like, it'll be, I had one client one time, they were on a phone call with a prospect and the person's like, oh, I actually have no money. Like, we we live in a trailer park or whatever. It's like, it was like a high ticket coaching thing. They're like, how did you even get here? But again, everything looked fine on the front end. So like the data, it's like you can be a vibes guy and I'm very much a vibes guy, right? Like I operate that way, I gut instinct and that served me very well. But at a certain point, you have to integrate the data and you have to know what's working. And I do agree, like, yeah, you do have to try the things. One clarification for what I said before is yes, try things, but when you then make the decision to what you double down in, that's where the data really becomes important. Because what I always tell people is like any channel can work. Like you can make any channel work. You can make Instagram work. You can make TikTok work. You can make ads work. You can make list swaps work, affiliates. All of those things can work. But where are you getting the best return for your dollars? And like I remember I was doing some fractional CMO work for this cattle ranch a while back. And our Facebook ads were working. We're getting like a 10x ROAS. I mean, you were selling cow shares, right? So like someone's buying a $3,000 or $6,000 cow share. It doesn't cost $1,500 to get those sales. It costs, $200, $300, $400 to get one of those sales. It's not like the acquisition cost scales with the price of the product, which is nice in that market. But the people in the team would approach me with different things. I said, can you be the 10x ROAS with this new channel? And they're like, I don't know. I don't think so. I'm like, then we're not going to do it. We're going to take those dollars and just pump them back into Facebook. Like, unless you could beat this metric, it doesn't make sense to spend anywhere else at this time in this phase of the business. And a lot of people don't think this way, but like you need some bread and butter channel where you know your numbers and you know your metrics and you have at least some semblance of predictability to say, we could just hit the gas pedal harder in this direction. And when you do that, you tend to grow. But I've been there before when it's like, maybe I should be here, maybe I should be there. So because the reason you jump around like that is because you don't know. You don't have any visibility into any of this stuff. Even with emails, I've had people and they want me to take a look at the automation and they won't have multi-touch attribution, right? So if they're using something like ConvertKit, which I love and use and pay for, and it's an amazing tool, and even some other platforms, they'll be like, can you look at the sequence? I'm like, I'll look at it and I'll tell you my professional opinion on it. And I'll say, I think I like this email. I definitely don't like this one. But really, at the end of the day, my opinion does not matter as much as what are the numbers telling you. I mean, I could kind of back out, kind of correlate, like, okay, this one had really high click rate. I think the sales are probably coming from there. But even then, it's like, that's still just a guess. Like, it's probably directionally accurate. But really, at the end of the day, you don't know. And then if you start moving things around, well, maybe the reason this email performed so well is because this one had low performance. Pre-frame them properly to see this one. But again, you don't know if you don't know the numbers.
You brought up something really interesting there, which is that gut feeling, the vibes, right? And I fully believe in vibes. Like that is why we are founders. That is why we are creating this, because we have a mental understanding of this. But for me, especially, it's based on data, right? Like it's that gut check, right? Like you can have like vibes based on data are so much more powerful than vibes alone, right? I guess is my kind of, if I was to put that all together. I was working with this company. They were a SegMetrics customer, and they were in the same incubator we were, and they were running about $40,000 of Facebook ads a month. And on top of that, they had an ads manager. So let's say all in about 50K. And they messaged me on Slack and they were like, hey, Keith, our ads manager guy is saying that all our ads are performing really well. He shows us what's going on in Facebook Ad Manager. Everything looks great. But SegMetrics is showing like 0 new trials from them. Like we get trials, but they're all worthless. Like they never convert. We're not getting any new conversion from them. And I was like, oh, that's weird. That's worrisome. And he says, yeah, so we're going to turn off Facebook ads because we trust SegMetrics. I'm like, oh crap. Because no matter how much I trust the platform, like it's a lot, right? It's a big number. And so I'm like, I will trust it. Let's go with it. They turn it off. No change in trial. No change in converted trials. No change in revenue. No change in lead value. None of that stuff changes. And they pull back $50,000 a month in ad spend that they were wasting.
That's over $500,000 a year of just profit, like.
It's a lot of money. And they're not the only ones. We've been seeing this all over especially the B2C ecosystem. Like, yeah, it's been interesting.
Yeah. I mean, you have to have this stuff dialed in. Like, it's just, even like I've thought, like with YouTube, I'm like, maybe I should just go on YouTube. But again, data comes in many forms, right? It could be your actual direct attribution. Like I get leads from YouTube. I get leads from my channel, which is okay. I don't have a great YouTube channel. I don't know, maybe I can make it great. It's not exceptional. It's okay. But I get leads from other people's YouTube channels. And it's weird because it seems like the people who come from other people's YouTube channels tend to be better buyers than some of the ones that come from my own. And that could be for any number of reasons. But I was like, maybe I should just go on YouTube. But then I was looking and I was like, let me look at email marketing channels on YouTube. And there really aren't any. And it's kind of weird, And I'm like, I'm searching big, like some of my friends who are like, Chase Diamond is one, right? Like he has 300,000 people on LinkedIn. He's a great dude. He owns an agency, very smart guy, right? I think his YouTube channel had like 4,900 subscribers. And I'm like, okay, maybe he doesn't put a lot of focus, but I'm like, still, like everyone knows who this guy is. You know what I mean? And then I'm looking at I'm searching terms for, email marketing, list growth, like this kind of stuff. And there's really not a lot of good videos. I mean, so the videos might be good, but like the highest one is 15,000
number
views.
wise, yeah.
Number wise, right? So I'm like, is it really smart to go all in on that one channel if that's what the data is showing me from other people and no one else is finding success, right? But if I talk about like, here's how to start a digital product business, boom, there's video, 1.1 million, 800,000, 4 million, you know? So the numbers matter.
This was really interesting because I forget who I was having this conversation with. It might have been Ken Okazaki, but anyways, we were talking about, so I was doing some research for what types of videos are people looking at for funnel marketing on YouTube, right? And so what I did is I went in and I did optimize marketing funnel. That was my keyword. And I sorted by number of views. And besides a couple of obviously spam boosted ghost posts, whatever, the top video was by Russell Brunson. It was 6 years old and it had 400,000 views. That's it. That was the top video on how to do funnel marketing.
And so, was that because of the thumbnail and the title and the content, or was it because of Russell Brunson?
It's because
you know what I mean?
No one's. Yeah. It's a niche market. Even when we think marketing's huge, and it is, it's still super niche when we're trying to compare it against something like B2C, right? And so those numbers don't match up. But one of the things I was talking to Ken about, and this was interesting, was like, he was saying, I don't care that my videos only have 1,000 views, 2,000 views, whatever, because they're the right 2,000 people. And it's not the number of how many people are looking at it, it's how many of those people are engaging and converting. And he does mainly Instagram, but he's seeing great conversions through those videos because of the engagement that he gets from them. And he has the right 2,000 people looking at them. But if you look at the raw numbers of like, oh, there's 2,000 people who have watched this video, it's a little depressing, right?
Is he tracking discovery versus versus existing customers? Does he have a SegMetrics set up?
He does not have SegMetrics set up. He was at our launch event in Japan, so he is currently on that. Ken, if you're watching this, we'll get you hooked up.
No, the reason I'm bringing this up, because my buddy Mike Yonda is like, he's excellent on video. Like he blew up his TikTok really fast. He got monetized on YouTube in like 6 weeks or something, or 8 weeks. Okay. Like he has like 50,000 subs. Like he just knows what to do, right? And he's like taking me behind the scenes of his channel. He's like, see this video, 500,000 views. And he goes, this video made me like $3,000. And he shows me another video and has like 3,600 views. He's like, this one made me $30,000. And so part of it is like, is it discovery content or is it nurture content? So like, I don't disagree with you about the 2,000 and if like their quality, but that's always the thing that and again, when you don't have data, it's always hard to make these decisions. Like, are those new dollars or are those existing dollars from the existing audience, right? Or not existing dollars, that kind of just makes it, but like, is that money that converted because it was a nurture mechanism rather than discovery? And this is always the hardest part, because when you're growing your list, when you're getting leads and clients, like you need to know where all these people are coming from, right? And sometimes they have multiple touch points. Sometimes they'll find you on Twitter, they'll watch your YouTube, and then they'll sign up to your list. And then, 3 months later, then they'll buy because you ran a Facebook ad. And like, you don't know. You have no idea. What was the origin? What was the initial source,
Yeah. And none of these tracking systems are able to do it because they're not, this is the thing that I've always had with like the tracking that you see in like HubSpot or Kit or any of that. Well, Kit now has SegMetrics built in, but any of the systems that aren't analytics first. And the main issue I have with them is that they are not analytics first. It's not their core competency, and it's not the thing that they need to focus on or they want to focus on all the time. And when I first started SegMetrics, I was like, how hard could it be? And the answer is very, very, very hard. And that's the thing is that, yeah, like if you sign up for Infusionsoft or you sign up for HubSpot or whatever, it's going to show you like, oh, they came in from Twitter because that was the last thing, or that was the last thing in the last month or whatever that they're able to track and see. But it doesn't track that full journey of, oh, they first saw it on an ad and here's the exact ad and here's how much you spent to get them on that ad. And then here's the Twitter and then here's the second ad and the third ad. And here's the blog post that they saw because someone posted on Reddit and they were searching on Reddit. And like, there is no, and then they searched in AI and AI recommended you. Like there is no more of that singular customer journey. It's this web of, and that's why I think multi-touch attribution is very important now, but it's becoming, people still think of multi-touch attribution as people clicked on Twitter and then they clicked on an ad and then they saw my blog and then they signed up. And that's not how it works. It's just this miasma of interconnected things that happen. And some of them are bigger than others, but it's a web. And what are the web points that are more valuable that then bring people in at the end? And that's the real multi-touch to me. Not, you're never going to find a happy path through multi-touch because there's too many variables.
I look at it like, again, I always just think whales versus minnows, right? Like Drew Sanaki talked about this. He said, you grow the business by growing the number of whales, not the number of minnows, right? And like for you, like if you guys get more enterprise clients, you're going to grow way faster because it's probably costs the same to get an enterprise client as it does to get someone who comes in on the smallest plan and stays for, 3 days past their trial and then cancels, right? Like obviously. So it's like, well, where do those people come from? Did they opt in? Did they all opt in for a specific lead magnet that maybe doesn't have a lot of traffic, but it's high value people? So like maybe that's the thing you push more, right? And these are always the decision, because I take this from doing like fractional CMO work and being obviously the CMO of my own business and amongst other hats, is like you're a capital allocator, right? Like I read a lot of the Warren Buffett, Charlie Munger stuff, and they talk about capital allocation. It's like one of the things that Warren Buffett said when he bought the original Berkshire, the textile company, is he said, here's the rate of return. He told the CEO, he said, here's the rate of return I need you to beat. If you can't beat this rate of return, you push all the cash up to the holdco, to the actual home-based company, right? And that was very interesting for me. I was like, okay, so he just sets this bar for the rate of return. He says, if we can get a better rate of return elsewhere, we're going to invest there. And everything you do in marketing is like, what's the rate of return? Where do you have a budget, you have cash coming in, where do you get the best rate of return for those dollars? Now, there's a lot of ways to think. It could be number of leads, it could be the size, it could be the lifetime value. Those are really the only three variables you have. 3 ways to grow a business, Jay Abraham, right? But this is the stuff that people don't think about, especially when they have internet businesses, because they think they're different. Or, hey, I am a personal brand and I'm big on YouTube or I'm big on Instagram, and like, this is how my business runs. Like, yeah, but you're going to hit a wall at some point. And ask me how I know, because I've hit the wall at some point. And I'm like, I got to get smarter to get bigger.
Well, this is the thing that we always look at with people coming on to SegMetrics who have been doing business for a while. And people always ask, well, when should I come into SegMetrics? And the problem that we see is that people don't look at data until they have a problem, right? And then it's kind of too late, because you need to have that historical data of like, well, what's been happening up until now? But because like you're saying, people are like, oh, I'm super successful on YouTube. I'm succeeding. I don't care about the data because I'm just making money hand over fist. And then you hit that wall. And I generally see like a lot of companies hit that wall, and the first year to 2 to maybe 5 are just all unicorns and rainbows. And like, you're just making money hand over fist. And then something changes, and what got you to there isn't getting you to the next step. And things are more expensive, and now you have a team and whatever that is, right? And it's at that point that people start looking at the data. And at that point, it's kind of like, well, it would have been nice to have all this other information in the past so you knew and you could head this off. And so you didn't hit that wall. You were able to say, oh, look at this trend that's happening right now. We need to fix it. It is funny that you talked about the whales versus minnows. And we just, at the beginning of this year, we went way down market. And so we stopped focusing entirely on enterprise and started focusing on, I don't want to call them minnows, but on small to medium businesses. And that's who we enjoy focusing on.
But if you have the vehicle, if you have the way to multiply capital to get more, like that's fine too. You know what I mean? Like that's how I look at it. I'm like, if you have an opportunity to be like, we could, buy money at a discount essentially, which it sounds like you guys do, then you just pour gas on the fire, right?
Exactly. 100%. I do want to talk real quick. So you've run a bunch of 7-figure launches, and you were talking about your own launch. And correct me if you do one launch a year or how many launches do you do a year?
So for that program, I do like one big affiliate launch. And then this year we did 2 other, we did like a smaller affiliate launch and then an internal launch. And then I have a lot of programs. So like I'll usually launch anywhere from 2 to 4 new, either workshops or courses or things like that a year. Although this year we'll see how much I do, just because I'm like the busiest I've ever been right now, or at least in the last 2 years. Like it's like every day there's like another client. Like I have proposals piling up I haven't even sent off that I just like. It's a good problem.
It's a good problem to have.
Yeah, but like because we're going after like what we're trying to do with people is do like advanced email stuff, right? It's not like, hey, we'll write you 6 emails a month or 10 emails a month. Like, that's fine. And I used to operate an agency like that, and there's nothing wrong with that. But like, I kind of call it like the triple thread of what I'm trying to do with people. Like, I want to implement RightMessage. I want to implement SegMetrics, so we know what the hell is going on, who are the segments, where are the whales, right? And then I think deadline funnel is another piece of that, where it's like, now that we have the lead segmented, we know where the money's coming from, we're personalizing everything, and then we could automate a lot of it. Like, can we just marry all these tools together and create this really awesome, like, can we automate 90% of people's email marketing, right? And I don't know if everyone will need that level of automation, but like, can we automate a significant portion of the revenue? And part of this is born out of my own pain points of my own business, because again, like, while I do love writing my email every day, it's cathartic, I love it, it's a good creative outlet for me, I also wonder, what happens if I get hit by a bus, right? Like, it would be nice to say maybe 50% of the revenue comes in automated and the other 50% is me putting my butt in the chair, right? Or maybe 60%, or can we get crazy and go 70%? Like how high is high? You know what I mean? And what happens if we can get it to 80 or 90%, right? What does that allow me as a founder to do and pull myself out and work on bigger problems? So what we're looking to do is just do more like mid-market enterprise level companies, just like go in and apply, like, let's actually get good data. Let's actually segment. Let's find out who these people are on your list. Like, who are the big spenders? Who are the low spenders? What are the characteristics we know about them based on how they answered survey questions, what segments they're in? And that's where I think like the real opportunity is for all these brands, because again, like email 1.0, it works, but like, if you really want outsized results, then you need to know who these people are. You need to know what they want. You need to know why they're there.
I mean, it's the exact reason why Brendan and I did that personalization bootcamp, because that is the future of especially email marketing, but really all marketing, which is, how do you understand who is there? How do you understand which segments are performing and which are your whales and minnows? And even within that, what actions do they take, right? So it's I think for me, it's beyond, I mean, who they are is huge, but I think also what's the correct combination of who and what should they be doing to get them across that finish line, to overcome those objections, to overcome those hurdles, and turn into whales. Because I think that there is the potential for every person on your list to reach that whale status. I mean, maybe not every, but a large portion of people to reach that, if they only could overcome those objections and know how.
Yeah. There's always an opportunity to get people to buy again. You know, it's just, if it doesn't happen, you always, like, the frame I always take is like, it's my fault, right? Like, it's not their fault, it's my fault. Like, I did not do an effective job. I dropped the ball here at this part of the journey, or this part of the journey, or this part of the journey, right? But when you take, extreme ownership or whatever they call it, right? Yeah. So like, well, when you take that frame of mind, you could say, okay, well, how do I make this better? And like, the more you understand about your list, the better. Like, I'm learning so much by doing this stuff, by looking at the numbers, looking at these sign-up sources, where the money's coming from. I'm learning about, and I hope you continue to sell the personalization bootcamp, because it's awesome. It's an awesome product. I really love it. And also, like, what do people need help with? Like, what are they saying? What are they telling me? What are the gaps? When you just get to a point with your list when, like, you stop looking at it like just a big number on the screen. You're like, who are these people actually? And like, again, not everyone's going to have the bandwidth to do this. I do this because I'm crazy, I'm a bit of a psycho, but like, I will go, like, every day I wake up, even before I sit down and write my email, I say, okay, who signed up since I last checked? Are there any URLs I could check out? Let me look at these people. Oh, let me look at their Facebook. Let me look at their Instagram, just to get a sense of who they are.
You're hitting on something that's so, I love the phrase that you used, which was extreme ownership, because that's how I feel about it as well. And I think that, I don't know if this is like American business or just business in general or what, but there is this idea of like, everything needs to be in a box, and we're looking at the aggregate of those numbers. So we have a 5% churn rate or a 10% churn rate, or, oh, we have demos and this percentage of people come on and blah, blah. And I'm like, well, we know exactly who those people are. Why don't we look at them one by one? And so it's no longer, oh, that person wasn't a good fit. Where did we fall down? Is it really their fault? Is it our fault? Is it we're not providing a service? Did we not explain the service right? Like, let's take the fault from them and put it on us and see what that improves the business and the way that we're communicating, rather than saying, well, they're not a good fit. Because if you keep saying, well, they're not a good fit, that's going to happen forever. And suddenly that good fit gets narrow, and your number of potential customers lowers so much because you're only talking to this small, perfect fit community instead of talking to all these people that are 90% a good fit. And it just takes a little bit more effort on your part to bring them into the fold, kind of.
Yeah, it's fun because you make money when you do this. Like
that's the best part.
So many, I always laugh because like so many people in like the online business world are like, I want to sell without being salesy, and they're all like, they kind of tiptoe around. I'm like, I like doing this because I like getting paid. Like that's fun. It's fun. It's like, and I think that you should, and not only do you get paid, but you also help people when you get your solution into their hands. And like oftentimes you put friction between that happening. And when you put that friction, either through a terrible process that you've developed or no process at all, then you stop them from getting the result. And like, if you really do believe in your product, which, should be good, I'm assuming if you're selling it, and not you, but everyone, right? Like, why are you putting friction in the process? You should be trying to make things smoother and easier. And you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a difference in thought around it, which is a lot of people see selling as you are convincing someone to buy something they don't need. And I view it, because I do believe in the product. That's why we use it internally, and I love the product. I love SegMetrics. I don't feel like I'm selling it because people don't need it. I'm selling it because it really helps people. And I just want people to be better at marketing. At the end of the day, that's what matters to me, is that people are understanding their lists better, understanding their people and their marketing better. Like, I don't care if they use us or use someone else, but use someone, dear Lord. Like, and that comes across when you're talking to customers. It's like, and that's something that we really put into our demos and our conversations. It's I hate to use mission statement or whatever, like a core mission at the company, but like, we're very much like, if someone is looking to solve a problem that we don't solve, or that one of our other competitors might solve better, is like, go use them. Like, we just want you to use something. We just want you to be better at marketing. We'd love it if you use us because we think we're the best, but then, so, but I think that authenticity, I think that mental model of I'm not selling, I'm helping, really helps sales.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing. It's just getting people to see their problem in different ways. And this is a lot of the stuff I do, like in my daily emails, is like, part of it's storytelling, right? Like, a lot of what I do, I call it like show, don't tell. It's like, I'm not going to tell you I'm good at what I do. I'm just going to show you what I've done. And then you make up, your mind for yourself. And that's very effective because, I mean, honestly, like if anyone's struggling to start with daily email, like there's always something going on in your company, right? It could be you're working with customers, you're working with clients, you're developing something internally. It's like, well, why are you doing that? Well, I noticed this shift in the market or whatever, right? So like, all you do is just show what you've been doing, what you've been seeing, what you've been learning, the wins you've been getting, the losses that you've had, the mistakes you've made. Like, it's super easy to do. And when you take people along for the journey like that, they want to be a part of that and they see themselves. And, when you're infusing everything with story too, that's just a great way to kind of get the point across without being confrontational, right? But that's it, like, you should be doing this and you should be doing that. It's like, let me tell you a story about Bob. Bob was having this problem and Bob. People are like, oh my gosh, Bob sounds just like me. It's like, well, yeah, I wrote it for you. Like, obviously, I know my avatar. Everyone says, it's the funny thing with all this stuff. Segmentation, analytics tracking, like everyone always says, we got to have right to one avatar in mind. They talk about the exercise where you put the picture up on the wall and this is Susie and she's 35 to 44 and here's her problem. Like, but then they know nothing about the people on their list. They know nothing about them. They know nothing about who the customers are versus the non-customers. They don't know anything about these people. And this is just the big thing that like I want people to solve, because then after you know all this stuff, it's just execution. It's just like, can we just email every single day? Good topics, good content, demonstrate the points we want, shift beliefs, call to action. Like very simple from an execution standpoint once you have all that stuff set.
Exactly. I think it's interesting. The show don't tell. I think stories are the ultimate way to explain things. Like it's the thing that people remember the most. Like you can talk about facts and numbers and like stats all day. It's really the stories of, hey, Facebook was lying to this company and they saved $50,000 a month, right? Like it's these types of stories that people remember and start to think and apply to their own experience in their own situations. Like, oh, maybe I'm like that too. I mean, but if I just said like 30% of Facebook ads aren't accurately tracking, it's like, I don't know what to do with that. Is that me?
Yeah.
I have Facebook ads is 30% doesn't sound bad.
They don't see themselves in facts. They see themselves in stories. That's
exactly
what it comes down to. It's like, can they put themselves into, that's what people do. Like anytime someone hears any information, they run it through that context, and the story is just more easily digestible that way, But yeah, it's fun stuff. I mean, my goal is just to get everyone to like understand their list better, because there's so much money in your list. Like there's so much. When you think about, like, my list is only 12,100 and something people. It's not a big list. I work with lists that have 600,000 people, a million, whatever, right? 12,000 is kind of small, but even with 12,000 people, you think about what is all the purchasing power of 12,000 people? Like when I wrestled in at the state tournament here in New Jersey, senior year, there were 13,000 people at Boardwalk Hall in Atlantic City. And when you're on the mat with the lights, the big lights, and you look up and you see 13,000 people, the roar of the crowd, that's a lot of people. That's a lot of people. Like it's hard to fathom. Like, I mean, everyone's been in big stadiums before, but like 13,000 is a big stadium as far as, when you're on the floor, but then you look at when you're home in your office and you log in your computer and you see 12,000, you're like, okay, whatever, right? Yeah. It doesn't register.
Why is it not 100? Yeah. And this is the thing I was talking about the, we're looking at averages. We're looking at numbers, not individuals. And that's where I think it starts to fall down, because we look at, oh, I lost 1% of my list unsubscribed today, right? That doesn't seem like a big number. But then you look at, okay, that's, what is that, 130 people. And you look at those people and it's like these 130 people who, oh, Sarah's on there. I thought Sarah liked my stuff. Why did she unsubscribe? Oh, John's on here. Why John leave? Like, this is the connection. This is the people that you need to be looking at, because the numbers matter. Of course they matter, but it's the people inside them that is how you're going to improve your business and how you really improve your marketing. It's understanding those people.
Everyone can get so much more of what they already got, and like that's also the big thing too. It's like, we talked a lot about obviously doubling down on acquisition, but even just knowing what pockets of people want to spend, have the capacity to spend, are interested in certain things. Like there's so much, there's always a deeper level you can get to within your own audience, followers, email database, whatever it is. Like there's just so much revenue potential there. And that's the game. That's how you win the game. Just the more you understand, the better. And I remember you did a webinar a little bit back with Ollie Richards, who's my mentor. I've been working with him for a couple of years. And the title of that was like how to track every dollar in your business. And I was like, there. It's like, that's what I need. Like that one sentence, that was like a sniper shot right between the eyes. I was like, that's what I need right there, and it's been good. It's, I tell my list every day, I'm like, get SegMetrics, like, or use something, but probably use SegMetrics. Like that's what you should be using.
I don't like tooting my own horn, but I mean, we've been doing this for 10 years. It came out of specifically our problem with tracking this thing for nurture sequences and marketers doing nurture sequences. It was beyond the click and someone buys like ecom. It's okay, I'm on a mailing list for 6 weeks, 12 weeks, a year before I decide to buy. What does that look like? Who are these people? What are they doing? And to be able to understand that in a time when you really, like, web stuff you can always track, but emails are kind of hard to track, like, especially over time, because it's opening in a different browser and a different device. And it's like, who are these people? And being able to follow that's tough, but it's the number one thing you need to follow in order to improve your market. So Chris, this has been absolutely awesome. Thank you so much for your time. I've absolutely loved this. I have one rapid fire question real quick, and then we'll do our sign offs. If you could only track 3 email metrics for the rest of your life, what would they be?
Sales, number 1. I would actually say opens, and because when you send an email every day, like if someone's not opening, I'm kicking them off. Like I'm not paying for you to be here on my list. So that is something important. And the third metric would be, I think time to conversion is probably the other one. Just because I've done so much advertising, not so much. I mean, like, I'm not spending $1 million a month, but like for my size business, spend a decent amount on ads. And like the things that have always held me back is just in the past was not knowing those numbers and not knowing that, dude, you could push the gas pedal on the spend here. Like you could get less efficient with the return on ad spend. You could go even more negative than you are. I mean, I talked with a client one time. They were interested in doing Twitter ads. So they reached out to me because that's one of the things I do for clients. On Meta, they were getting a 0.6 return on ad spend. And they said, well, we don't give a shit because day 30, we're cash positive. So they were able to spend $500,000 a month, and they could not spend any more if they wanted to. That's just why they were thinking about Twitter. And I heard that, and I was like, yeah, like $500,000 a month, that's $6 million a year. Like that's why their company's growing, because they're able to just absolutely swamp their market with ads. You know what I mean? And that's why they're so big. And like, so it's a lot of these things that like, I wish I could have gone back and, if you go back in time, I'd go back to 2020 and with those ad campaigns and I'd 10x the spend and be like, we know in 18 months, we're going to be making money hand over fist. Right. So, but again, you need to know not only what the return is, but what is the timeline of the return. So all of that matters when it comes to email. And then why is the timeline? What are they getting that's causing that timeline to be that timeline? Is there a way to compress that timeline? Because if you can collect more cash or collect it faster or both, then you scale faster.
This is one thing we did for a client back in the agency days. We had a 6-week nurture sequence. And the goal was, how fast can we get this nurture sequence to convert? So starting the sales emails without dropping the conversion rate. And we were able to get it to 2 weeks. And so it was just a bunch of split tests. Anyone who comes in, they're either going to the old one or these new ones. And we tested what is the conversion rate and what is the lead value for each person at the end of each of these. And we were able to get it down to 2 weeks for that conversion rate, which, I mean, that's a third of the time. And so you're making money a third faster from all of these things and having less drop off.
Yeah, when you're floating cash, like, that matters. Like,
yeah,
it matters a lot.
6 weeks is a long time when you're floating cash.
Yeah, when you're floating that and saying, okay, we know or we hope it comes back on this date, that limits what you can spend if you know that you have another month to get that cash back. Like you only have so much cash in the bank that you could float at a certain extent. So if you cut that down by 60, 70%, like that's how businesses scale. Like they figure this shit out and they say, let's compress it. That's why everyone talks about like, oh, my front end ROAS on day 0 is this. Well, why do they care about that? They care about that because the higher that number is, the more they could spend. They know the efficiency is going to drop, but when it does, they're still covered. So the same rule applies to everything after day 0, between day 0, day 15, day 30, day 90, whatever. So, yeah.
The best phrase I ever heard about this is called self-liquidating offer. And I was like, anything that has an offer on the top end that you can sell whatever you want on the back end, but as long as that top end offer pays for the ads or pays for the acquisition costs, then you're essentially running 100% on day 1, right? And that's really the goal. Like, it doesn't work for everyone, but man, it's a great place to be.
It's nice getting paid to get customers. It's a good place. Yeah.
Chris, thank you so much for your time. Where can people find you on the internets?
Yeah, if you go to theemailcopywriter.com, that's one of my websites. It's probably the most popular one. I email every day. You can sign up for my list, and hopefully you like my stuff.
Chris, thank you so much for coming and joining us, and hope to see you again soon.
Thanks for having me, Keith.